Alrighty, I'd like to call this meeting to order. And if the clerk would please call the roll.
Commissioner Bailey.
Present.
Commissioner Bunting.
Present.
Commissioner Lumberman.
Here.
Commissioner Murphy.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Here. Very good. Commissioner Lemmerman, could you lead us in a prayer tonight?
Heavenly Father, we ask that you would bless this meeting and help us to make decisions that are in the best interests of the taxpayers of Gratiot County. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, born and unborn. All right, moving on to the agenda. Angie, I think you had some changes you wanted us to make.
So if we could move K14 up to K1, because Tony Miller has to go teach some kids how to shoot bow and arrows tonight on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if we could move that to number 1. And then my fault on the agenda, if we could move 5 before 4, which is the appointment of your Veterans Board of Commissioners, while Nancy Boza is still here, that will follow all of the veterans. We have 3 things for the veterans right in order then. So if we could switch 4 and 5, that's what I have for your agenda.
All righty, thank you, Angie.
In addition, Mr. Chair, Tracy Court is here. I will not have an administrator's report this evening. All reportable activities will be reflected in other agenda items.
Okay, thank you. So we're eliminating I. And anyone else have any changes or additions? And I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Lemmerman,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bunting. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Yes. Then we're on to the communications and minutes. Anyone have anything they want to break out of there? Then entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Smith. Do we have a second?
Or
Second by Commissioner Bailey. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 Mr. Chairman, you've got the public comment.
Oh, thank you. Matt, do you have anything out there? Anyone out there you can see for public comment?
Nope, I don't see anybody joined in.
Okay, if there is anyone that would like to make a public comment, please go ahead, unmute yourself and go ahead now. If you're on a cell phone, I believe it's *6. All righty, thank you, George. Then we're moving on to Commissioners' Committee reports. Commissioner Lemmerman?
I think the only thing that I've got is the airport committee was notified. Matt Schooley gave me a call and said that we may have some solar considerations out at the airport, that it looks like the county or the airport authority could get $60 an acre to consider going solar, with the eventuality that if we do adopt solar out there, that it could be up to $1,000 an acre per year. So we have not had a meeting since this was brought up, but that's the last that I heard. And they turned that over to the lawyer to take a look at.
Great. Does anyone remember how many acres are out there available?
Not for sure. I think it's a couple hundred.
Is it 200? Okay.
Oh, I was thinking a 30 and a 20.
No, there's more than that.
Okay.
Yeah, so somebody's farming, I think somebody's farming at least 80 or 100.
Yeah, there's a lot of acres.
There's some farm ground along it.
So that would be quite significant.
Some of them, they
The
do
authority.
not farmable, but
We had 2 bites this year, I think, the farm ground there.
yeah, don't quote me on it, but I think it's close to 200.
Very good. All righty, George?
I have no report.
Okay, and I don't have anything either. Jan,
I have nothing.
Sam?
Basically, I was up at Sumner and was talking to him about the relief funds that were coming and they didn't know anything about it. And so they hopped right on the horse and I called her clerk the next day and she got a number and stuff from the state about getting the emergency funds that we had received and she didn't know as a township, they thought maybe they just threw the letter away from the government. So hopefully they're a few bucks out to Sumner. But we were talking about it and finally she said, what are you talking about? I said, well, there's some funds coming to townships and counties and so I called her the next day. She got right on it. And I think they're rolling along with it now. So
Good.
that's about it.
All righty.
Probably behooves all of us to double check with our township.
Yeah,
Yeah, I checked with, I had made a call to a couple of clerks. I knew Fulton had already been involved in it.
yeah, none of them have received any funds yet.
But they've got information and then she got with Mears and then they sent her the stuff to apply. So she was on it the next day. But I did call a couple of my clerks just to make sure they knew about it.
You guys are wondering, now that we got the elephant, how are we gonna eat it?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's move on to new business then. First up, Mid-Michigan District Health Department on the PBB health research.
You were gonna go,
Oh, we're doing 14 first. Thank you, George, again. All right, so we're at courthouse roof repair. Who's handling that? Tony. Okay.
Hey, how's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Hey, thanks for letting me get bumped ahead. Thanks everybody for that. I had some weekly obligations here for the next month. So what we're looking at doing is repairing 7 different areas on the courthouse, which include the bell tower, the 4 areas around the perimeter, the front entrance, and above the boiler room. Or actually the entryway next to the commissioner's room, the secured entrance. There's 5,300 square foot. We put out a request for to repair the existing rubber roofing and make a watertight condition. We received 2 bids, one from Storm Shield in Lansing and another one from Cni Building Maintenance in Sparta, which is a Tremco affiliate. We've used Tremco we've actually under warranty with 3 other roofs here. The connector building, the district court, and the jail are all warranted under Tremco right now. Storm Shield came in with 2 different options. One was to cap the existing rubber with a TPO, which is a synthetic thermoplastic polyethylene, to just go over existing. Really wasn't what we thought we wanted to do between the staff here, buildings and grounds. That came in at $61,430. They did give us an option to replace the entire roof at $89,280. Cni Building Maintenance came in at $79,680 to basically do the same procedure. This would be my recommendation is the Cni Building Maintenance. They're gonna identify the spots that have moisture underneath, remove that rubber roofing, replace the underlayment, and then put new rubber down and then top coat and seal the entire thing. We did have that approved in last year's capital improvement plan But we had it in the budget at $60,000. So this is considerably more. The Cni Building Maintenance did have the not to succeed submitted in their proposal. Storm Shields had a clause in there saying that if they discovered anything, those costs would be additional. So right now we do have a leak in the rotunda up above in the old circuit court, and there's some other spots that are showing moisture that need to be addressed fairly soon. So
Tony, Tracy here, if I could ask a couple of questions. Number one, you would view this work as pretty important and urgent, wouldn't you? Because we're seeing leakage and moisture, yes?
yes, absolutely.
Okay,
And we've got signs inside. There's some repairs that need to be made inside. And we really need to correct it outside before we concentrate or spend any money inside.
okay. Next, does the $60,000+ proposal actually conform to the specifications that you included in the proposal documents?
No, not really. It's the original. This was more of a cap. It was basically going over what's existing. I'm a little skittish of that because if we trap any moisture up there, there's only one place it can go.
Okay.
And that's right straight down.
Yeah, Tony, is it fair to say then that you view the work that is proposed by the lower cost proposal, I'm sorry, I don't have those in front of me, but as an inferior or less satisfactory approach to the work?
Yes.
Okay. And finally, Tony.
Yeah, that's not really what we had intended on.
Yeah. Okay. That, I guess that concludes my my questions to try to flesh that information out, Mr. Chair. I certainly join Tony in recommending the Tremco company affiliate. We, again, as Tony said, we have 3 roofs that are Tremco products and are doing very, very well. Also, we will find the additional funds because in our capital improvement plan, first of all, we do our best guess on what those costs are going to be. We do pretty well, but we just do our best to guess these things. We don't send out proposals in order to get numbers for the creation of the capital improvement plan. Also, on some of those projects, we beat the cost. So, we tend to find the funding there. But I would submit to you that finding the funding above the amount in the capital improvement plan will not be an issue. And I'm sure that Tony would take any questions that you have.
One thing, Tracy,
And,
anything you could, on this that we could maybe use ARP funds, or is that a stretch?
That I do not see that as a qualifying expense.
Okay, thank
But
you.
we're thinking a bit alike, Chuck. Any of these things that come across, we're certainly running them through the ARP gauntlet, and I just don't see it here.
Yeah. Construction material has really skyrocketed. I'm sure you're all aware of that. So I was real concerned at just how much overboard these were costs were going to be. But yeah, everything right now is at least 50% more than it was before this pandemic.
So Tony, once again, will you state which proposal and company you want to go with?
Cni Building Maintenance.
Okay. For the 79,680?
Yeah, that was their not to exceed number. So with any luck, we'll come in less.
Okay, so you're saying it could go up? So
No,
let me get this clear. You want to go to the 89,281 to do the whole roof? Is that what you're talking?
no.
The Cni Building Maintenance one at 79,680 was the one that I would recommend going with.
Yeah.
That's under the Termco, they're a Termco affiliated.
Okay, so it's not to exceed that much.
Exactly, yep.
Okay,
correct.
I got it. Okay, I understand. Now, you said something about the courthouse cupola. Are you talking about the clock tower or is that something different you're talking about?
Yep. Yeah, the clock tower, all that, the bell tower, there's rubber roofing all through that. There's a couple areas up above. It's gonna need some man lifts, some equipment brought in.
So you're not talking about the external roof, you're talking about inside.
No,
The top of the courthouse, I guess I'm not following.
that's not gonna show you. I've got some of it
No.
highlighted there.
So you're saying that actual roof of the clock tower?
Not the rotunda part. There's a ledge around the outside.
Yeah.
Where there's a railing, there's a small strip there. And
Yeah.
then there's flat areas on the east and west side and throughout that bell tower.
Okay, so you're
Where
not
the
doing the
house
actual
for-
roof, you're doing the parapet around the clock tower. I call it a parapet with the
Yeah,
fencing
yeah,
around.
that's included as well.
Okay.
There's
Okay.
5,300 square feet altogether. The entryway, the secured entrance, that's got some leaks going on that need addressed too. We see that in the ceiling and the soffits.
Okay, I understand now. Thank you.
So Tony, the TPO cap system, that was the one where you're just gonna go over the old existing roof for the 61?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
I make a motion on his recommendation, use Cni Building not to exceed 79,680 to repair the roof.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lemmerman. Any further discussion? So all those in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passed.
Spending money.
I think those
Should we do a roll call,
I
Angie?
think those funds were all mostly budgeted.
Oh, yeah, I think we had 60,000.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised. They must either guessed it high last year because it's amazing. It's only gone up 19 grand.
Out of the capital.
You got 2x4.
I don't think we really have an
You should
issue.
apply with $150 a sheet.
I think we're good with it then? All right, good. Okay, now we can go back, number one, Mid-Michigan District Health Department.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah, thank you guys for letting me.
Thank you,
sneak in
Tony.
ahead.
Hello, I'm Bonnie Havlicek. I'm a retiree of Mid-Michigan District Health Department in 2014. And since then, I've been a volunteer with the Emory PBB Research Project. And this is,
I'm Jane Keon, and I'm involved with that project and a few more that I'll talk about later.
hey, first off, I wanted to know how many of you were aware of the work that Emory University is doing with the PBB project here in the community before you read the information in your packet?
I'm aware of it.
I know Jan probably was.
I know there's been some work done on PBB in our county.
Okay. I know, Jan, I've seen you at various times in the community. That's one of the main reasons we're here today is we wanted to bring some awareness as to the work that Emory University is doing, not just in our community, but statewide, researching the health effects of PBB on the citizens. This is a real important issue for your constituents. And we really want to make sure that it continues and that this work continues in our community. And then secondly, the main thing that has kept the funding going for these projects has been that the research is really grounded in the community and depends on community partners. So they listen to the concerns of the community and then tailor their research to answer the questions that the community has. And one of the main partners for this project has been Mid-Michigan District Health Department. They're going through a transition here with the health officer. And so we thought this would be an opportune time to bring everybody up to date on what Emory University is doing in the community and the partnership that has existed, I think since about 2008, particularly with the health department. So the things that the health department does that maybe concern you. I understand that health department is actually, at least you guys actually own, for instance, the health department building. And they have been generous to let the research team come in and use that building on weekends and around their clinic schedules. And this has been, needless to say, very important, and especially during COVID has allowed that research to continue even with restricted visitation. Any questions that you have about the project, we'd be glad to answer later, but maybe this is a good chance for Jane to.
Well, I would like to point out that Marcus Cheatham, the health officer, has been a very integral part in the PBB leadership team, but also in the wider community. He served on the board of the Pine River Superfund Citizen Task Force that I'm the chairperson of. And he's also been very helpful to the Healthy Pine River group for upstream Pine River that's dealing with the E. coli and the agricultural chemicals coming downstream. Just to give you a couple of examples, Marcus was the person that was able to talk to the Alma City Commissioners and the St. Louis ones and convince them that we needed signs posted, just warning people about the E. coli and washing their hands and not putting their hands in their mouths and all that. It took some persuading, but he did it. And we were so grateful to him for having done that. And on the board, or on the Pine River Superfund Citizen Task Force, when he was on our board, one of the things that's been a frustration to us, the researchers, and to the whole state of Michigan of people that were affected by PBB is that the records that the state of Michigan held and still holds were not very accessible to the people, especially if, you know, a child was trying to find out if their father or mother was in the original PBB study. They couldn't find out that information. So Marcus and I went to Lansing several times, sat down with our legislators and representatives from the state health department. And finally, just about a year and a half ago, the state health department is making those records more accessible. But again, it's one thing for me just as a community member to go talk to the legislators. It's another thing if a public health person is talking to them. So we would like to encourage you in your hiring of a new health officer to keep in mind how important it is to get somebody that's willing to serve in these volunteer positions as well.
I just say that the health department administrator has already been chosen by the health department.
Yeah, we
Okay.
chose Liz Braddock, and in her interview, she mentioned PBB.
So I think we've got a partner there. You know?
Yeah, she's been involved with Healthy Pine River
Yeah.
and actually has come to a lot of our Pine River Superfund.
She's the new administrator.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, thank you for telling us that.
Yes, that's good.
I want to put your fears to rest.
Okay. Well, and so we hope that you'll consider becoming involved too. Again, it really helps if a county commissioner advocates for some of the projects. Another recent example is the research team received funding to link the cancer death registry to the PBB records, but we're having difficulty working with the state health department on making that happen. And so that often helps if we can have more assistance in advocating for some of these things. And Marcus was big on that too.
Yes, he was. Yep.
So,
Girls, I would just like to say thank you for all that you do for the community.
Thank you, Jan. Any questions? No.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have hard copies of the materials you received. Do you want me to leave those if you?
I've got them on electronics.
I have them in the packet.
Maybe I do have just one quick question. When you talk about you're having trouble with the state, Are you talking about like the registrar's office or the state death certificate's office or
No.
like that?
The health department.
Health department itself.
Health
I see.
personnel. You know, ever since, well, for a number of years now, let's just put it that way. They're very gun shy, and so they have attorneys involved all the time, and that's fine, except the attorneys have no idea of how public health works or even the importance of it. So we feel like a lot of the times we're running into stumbling blocks that aren't really health related, but are more just political or worried about insurance companies and courts and things like that.
I also have a question for you. The people that's on that board, are they there? Have they been there for a long time or do they have a turnover?
Board.
Of the health department, the state health department?
Well, we have actually dealt with the administrative people and the epidemiologists and people that are actually employed there, not the board of directors.
Okay, but that's what I mean. The people that are working there, have they been there for a long period of time? Or is there a turnover of employees?
I don't really know. Do you? No,
Employees have probably been there a while. They're state employees, yeah,
they're state employees.
30 years.
Yeah. We wish some of the older ones were still there that knew about PBB, but they've all retired by now. Yeah.
I think sometimes they get, bringing in the attorneys, they get stuck on confidentiality issues. But when you're looking at your health, wouldn't you want to know if your parent or your grandparent had maybe a high exposure of PBB?
Certainly it's genetics.
Right.
It is. We've learned that recently with some of the research that our people have done, that it seems to be passed not only from mother to child, but very possibly from father to child too. So it is concerning for the younger generations. So.
I agree with you.
So it really helps to have a health officer that could come in and balance, okay, yes, we'll maintain confidentiality. That is very important, but this is how we can do it and still get the information that is needed. So.
You know, my question would be, how would they know? How would they know if I hadn't passed it on to my child? How would they know? Would it would come from my doctor to the health department?
Well, at this point in time, Emory University has the only lab, I believe, in the country that can test for PBB. And so we do routinely offer testing in the community. We just had a testing clinic here in May down in St. John's at the health department.
So, I mean, would you know if you found any? Would they tell you if you found any?
Oh, yes, you get your results.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then Emory is doing one study where they're looking at, so a grandfather who was exposed, who married a woman from out of the area who wasn't exposed. And then they're looking at their children and then the grandchildren and seeing if there are, so the PBB itself doesn't transfer from the man to the child, but it mimics estrogen and it works on the DNA. It doesn't mutate the DNA, but it turns parts of the DNA off and on, okay? And so they're looking to see if from the man passing it on to his children, if it's changed parts of what is turned on or off in the DNA.
And that contributes then to various health problems if the DNA has been turned on or turned off. So it is an intergenerational worry. And yeah, that we're doing that study right now. There's also a clinical trial that people have signed up for, and they use people that have a very high level in their bloodstreams. And they are doing a blind study, you know, some of them get a placebo, some of them get this substance that helps the body eliminate PBB faster than it would naturally.
We're going to see if it does.
Yeah, that's our hope.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're going to see.
Thank you.
So how many generations do you think that we'll have to go through before there's no longer PBB? Or will it just always be there?
The half-life
know.
for PBB is 15 years.
But as far as the intergenerational passing down of the problem, we really don't know. That's why the research is going on.
And then they're using this research too with other chemical
Yeah.
exposures that happen to different chemicals. They're learning from us in dealing, unfortunately, with other chemicals.
As I remember, I think anyone that was in the state of Michigan in the mid-70s and was alive has PBB.
Yeah, pretty much. It was about 9 million people.
Yeah.
But since then, we've learned that some of the products that were contaminated, like the meat, milk, eggs, cheese, did go to surrounding states as well. So it isn't just us, but mostly us. If you are just learning about this, a really good book to read is one called The Poisoning of Michigan. And it is very well written and goes into what happened then to now. So
It's an easy read. It's written in a style that's very interesting and holds your attention.
yeah, it was written by a journalist, not a scientist, so that helps.
It's very accurate. So I say it's an easy read. You'll be upset
Yeah.
as you read it, but it holds your interest.
And I guess I would like to say too, that since PBB was manufactured in Gratiot County at Lewis, that's why our group feels some responsibility to help try to find out the health effects and then help deal with the health effects. So right now, we also have a letter going in to our federal legislators, encouraging them when they appropriate money for the Superfund, that they start including money for health research as well, not only on our Superfund site, but all the Superfund sites around the nation. So you're letting us talk way too long.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
All righty, thank you. And then next up, we have the Veterans Affairs Department. I believe you have 3 items, Nancy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for letting me address you today. So the first packet that I want to talk about is our state grant. We were very fortunate this year. We received our original $50,000 as baseline, but then in addition to that, we also received $19,047. So I did put some corrected pages in your packet because we got the numbers really late right before the 4th of July weekend, and I wanted to make sure you guys had something to look at. But I did take and trim that budget based on our advertising and promotional items that we talked about, and also in our Veterans Emergency Affairs to bring it down to the 69, because I had it at 77,000. It's like, go high. I was like, I can go high. So, but I just wanted to let you know why I did what I did. So the first big money around the 35,000 is for the 27 hours that will be for the director's ESO salary. Okay, that's the first part of the budget. The next part is the advertising piece of that budget. And since we've had COVID for the last year and a half, we want to really make a big effort to reintroduce ourselves and make sure that we're getting all our veterans, not just our elderly veterans, but our young ones that are just coming out of the service. We need to get them started. So we're really doing a big push on our Facebook, Instagram, because we want to be on the right platform as they are. But we're also doing the newspapers and the billboards because we know that we have to stay with that other population as well to make sure that they're getting the information too. So we're hoping that this 2-prong approach will catch all our veterans. And then we want some promotional items out there because it's important for our name to get out there, period. And if we're doing like water bottles at the county fair, and we're doing keychains and magnets and pins, those things get distributed all the way around. So you always will have our phone number out there or our Facebook page or our website, so people can easily be accessible. Our emergency veterans affairs, or excuse me, our emergency veteran relief, that's going to be not as robust as it was this past year because it wasn't used. Even with COVID, where you think it would be used the most, it was hardly used at all. But I still want that ability to be able to help that. So that's why it's only at the $3,000 level versus the $5,000 that it was last year or last fiscal year. The rest of it, community outreach is our normal program, membership dues, subscription and communications at the normal. And then of course, our training to make sure that we stay accredited and that we are the best we can be as far as education and training to serve our veterans. So with that, that is our overall budget. We're off about $2.71, but a lot of these things are estimated. So I left that fudge factor in there. And what I'm asking for you today is to approve the budget because it's due to the state on the 16th of July. And for further amendments that I can just work directly with the chair, have those amendments signed if we need to move money throughout the fiscal year for those Tuesday type things. Any questions that I can answer reference the budget itself?
Hitting the ground running. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Do you want a motion to approve the budget and to approve the grant application?
No, for you to be able to sign it.
To sign it, okay.
Yes. So to approve the grant application the way as stated, and then for the chairman to do further amendments.
Does anyone have an objection to me signing the grant? I wouldn't think so. Alrighty.
Did you need a roll for a motion?
I think we need a motion to approve the budget you're requesting.
Yes, please.
So your motion to approve the budget by, for the veterans by Commissioner Bunning. We have a second.
Support.
Second by Commissioner Smith. Any discussion?
This is the one that we always seem to got. We kind of floated along or something until the money comes. Is this the same thing?
Yes, but they're doing it a lot earlier. Last year,
A little quicker?
well,
I feel like we always had like a 6 or maybe a 2-month wait or something.
We always had to fill in the gaps till it got.
Until we got them along and then they,
that is very true, but they're starting the application process at least a month earlier than they did last year.
I see.
So I think we'll be in better shape according to their timeline. If we get it in on the 16th and they don't have any problems with it, we should have our money before the beginning of the fiscal year.
And you run on our year, right? In the October 1 year. You run on.
Yes, sir.
So we are approving the budget and signing the grant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, and then are we gonna do to allow you to sign amendments as they come without coming to the board? Are you gonna do that as a separate motion? Because there will be amendments that need to be done,
Yeah, is that part of your motion or do you want it to come back?
a separate.
Yeah, but it all stays in the budget. I mean, you're just gonna be moving from something to the other. I mean, you're not going over budget where you're gonna need more money.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem adding that. I don't have a problem adding that to
So
it.
we can do it all one motion.
I think so.
And it's just better than having her have to come back and say, we gotta move $200 from here to there.
Okay, good. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed.
Wonderful, thank you. Second item that we have on my agenda is the positions in our office. We used to have 2 part-time VSO and 1 admin. And of course, one of the part-time VSOs was the director. The admin person is just starting to be a VSO as well. In whole, you would have had 3 part-time VSOs and an admin person and a director. Okay, now we're to 2 people. So we're both doing VSO as kind of, I would say, as our primary job because we want to serve our veterans. And then our director and our admin jobs are kind of secondary to that position. So with that, I graded the position because of the emphasis on the VSO as a GS9 because the part-time VSO GS9. So they're doing double duty. And so I would like to propose, based on the job description and the scoring sheet that is in your packet, that this position, because of the emphasis more on the VSO portion of this versus the admin, since a lot of things are online versus paper copies, there's less admin duties and more VSO duties. And I think it should be graded at a higher level. And the other thing to note is that this will not affect our county budget as far as our piece of the pie. It does not increase that budget at all. So I'm not asking for more money. I'm just asking for the job to be approved as a pay grade 9 versus 8 due to the duties that she is assigned. And it's more for, not for the person who's in the position, but for future. Make sure we get the right quality person in there.
No problem. So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Bailey, second.
Support.
A second by Commissioner Lemerman. Any discussion?
And that would start, go ahead,
Effective when?
October. Oh, I was just gonna mention, 2021 October, our new budget.
October 1st, yes, be effective that day.
Acceptable for the second? All righty. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passed.
For the last page on your packet for off of the job description, and this is just informational, is our new logo that we just wanted to put out there just to show you guys what we're doing. Perfect. Looks better in color. So we just want to have something that people can identify with. I just wanted to throw that to you guys because we're going to really present it when we go to the county fair in August and also September 11th ceremonies that we're having to bring in more
This
veterans.
logo is personal to Gratiot County. Nobody else has one like.
Yep, this is ours that we just designed for the Veterans Affairs Office, correct? And we
Nice logo.
wanted them to follow the Gratiot County
Yeah.
courthouse and everything like that. So,
Do you have a color version of it?
yes, he does on his.
Awesome.
It looks really sharp. So, okay, the last item, and then I'll get off the stage here, is our appointment to the Veterans Committee. Meeting was Tim. He served on the Veterans Committee for the last 3-4 years, I think, Angie. He's been on them for quite a while. He was our only applicant. The Veterans Committee would like to recommend him and continue him working with their committee. So that's the last thing I have for you guys, if there's any questions about that.
I move we appoint Tim Aiden to the Veterans Committee.
Motion by Commissioner Smith. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Bunting. Any discussion?
Did I say his name right? Is it
April?
Alpin? Okay.
How it's pronounced? I'm
Right here out in front of me. I can't read his writing or mine, but this is on Buchanan Road.
All righty. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passed. Thank you very much.
all right. Have a nice evening.
Alrighty, now we're moving on to a resolution authorizing annual expenditure over 10,000 for Rainbow Lake, it looks like. Yeah, Rainbow Lake. Right. Do we have anybody presenting that?
Matt,
Oh, I hear somebody. Oh, okay.
hello, commissioners. I'm tonight trying to ask for a resolution to exceed $10,000 for maintenance on the Rainbow Lake Dam. I would like to paint it. I received bids and all the bids come in over the $10,000 annual spending limit. I guess the bid that I chose and awarded was the, if you see the Fedowa Incorporated, clean and repair dam with 3 coats for the amount of 16,000. I'm not sure why my video is not turning on here.
Hit the video button at the top. or
I
the bottom.
did. I did. Oh, I'm getting asked now. Okay.
Are you using a laptop?
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a privacy shutter that covers up the camera.
I thought I got that open.
Hey.
We're seeing
there we go.
something.
Hey,
There we go.
hey, okay. Thanks, Matt. Okay, yeah, so, I mean, I guess that's the basic explanation. Do you guys have any questions that I can answer?
Bernie, is this in the budget or your budgets?
Yes, yes. What it is when we rebuilt the Rainbow Lake Dam, there was a maintenance fund. It's the balance of the construction project, similar to a drain project. This is very similar. So we have an assessment district. The balance of what wasn't, paid for in grants and whatever of the whole situation of that time. It's been a while. It's 87 or whatever. So anyways, there's a balance left over that we've been just using for, I pay the association down there to take the boards out, put the boards in, and that's about it. So this fund's been just sitting there, only getting $400 or $500 drawn off from it each year. But this fund is also for maintaining the dam. So that's where the dam is in need of a paint. It's got a lot of rust on it in spots. I had Meisenhelder Welding already go through and repair the scaffolding, the catwalk around it, the gate, anything that was damaged or needed to be reworked. We did that last year. And I guess we worked on the fence down there too. But now I'd like to paint it all and get a good coat of paint on it.
Bernie, how will they do that? I drove up there the other day to look at it. I mean, will it be like in the winter time when they let the water down?
No, actually, I want them to do it in August. Well, typically, Sam, in the month of August, if you go down there, that's when we're in our low water. So there's very little spray.
Over then, yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to get them in there. So there again, it's pretty much the next little dry snap we're going to get. And they've been scheduling this and they're trying to try and hit it. So we don't have that big, mist spray when, like, after we have large, high water events like right now, probably. Sam, I guess I'm assuming that it's got a spray to it right now, right?
Yeah, it's rolling over there pretty good, and it does need painting. My real question was, what was the responsibility of the county to do it, And
No,
you
Sam,
that
you're
they have
not.
some funds left over, yep.
Yeah, it's not, there may be a portion. I don't want to lie to you guys. You guys originally could have paid a percentage into this fund for the construction. And there again, I'd have to look all that back up. But this is coming from the fund established to maintain the dam. And then once I expend all this money, then I would assess that district again. So it's being paid by the district down there that benefit from the dam, which is directly around Rainbow Lake. And of course, it's all natural water courses coming into there. So I don't actually have a county drain that touches Rainbow Lake. They all stop, a mile or two away. So, but this is the fund for dam maintenance of Rainbow Lake. So, yeah, it's not county funds, if other than maybe a small percent or something. I'd have to look that up, Sam.
Yeah, okay.
If it was a county drain right now, you guys would be about 10%. But likewise, on a drain, when I have a fund balance, we don't reassess until we deplete that fund. So hopefully that fund will last still another 20 years or something. It depends on when we have to paint it again. Sam, is when it's gonna chew on the fund again hard. If we have to do any riprap or if we have to do other maintenance stuff down there too, that's what this fund would be for, maintaining. And I guess like spraying, we had Phragmites show up on the dam. And so I had the association spray guy spray that, and we paid for it out of this fund. So that's what this is used for, Sam, exclusive for the Rainbow Lake Dam.
Any other questions?
I'd move that we allow the dam repair, give Bernie the authorization to spend, 16,000?
Yeah, but George, I'm just looking for you, the resolution.
Oh, okay.
There should be a resolution there in your packet.
Oh,
It's 21-270.
Resolution 21-270, I show.
Okay.
Correct. This is the same setup pretty much that I go to townships with when we're going to spend more than the 5,000 per mile spending limit.
Yeah. So you're moving that, George, I'm assuming? We have a second.
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Bunting. Any further discussion?
Bernie, you think I get any conflict because I live there?
What? As far
Do you
as,
think I have any conflict in voting on this because I live there?
To vote, Bernie.
Oh,
no,
It's already a fund that's been established. It's not like we're establishing.
Okay.
yeah, I don't think.
I don't think
money's already there.
Yeah, we're just allowing the
Yeah, okay,
proclamation by resolution to let him do it.
okay.
But typically on a board, you would not be able to. I do agree with you, Sam. So if you want to abstain to make sure everything's good, you could do that at this point. Because on a drain board,
But you send me notes on my drains, so I get to pay those.
All righty. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor, aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? No, okay. Motion passed. All righty. We're moving on to US Census presentation. Linda Clarke. What's coming up?
Good evening. How are you?
Oh,
Good.
Thank you so much for inviting me this evening. I had the opportunity to speak with the county clerk, Angie Thompson, and delightful person, and she suggested, we both thought it would be a good idea to present the information I had to the Board of Commissioners. So I am here this evening, and hopefully the information that I am going to be providing is something that you will find useful. Is someone manning this presentation? Matt, are you the guy?
Yes, I am.
Okay, terrific. So I'll just say next slide and we'll just go from there. So basically, commissioners, the information I shared earlier with Angie is related to what's going on after the decennial. You know that we ended the census count in October of last year, and those results should be coming out in September. But we still have a number of different initiatives that we are working on, and I wanted to keep the county aware. And I'm sorry.
Can we hold on for just a second? We're getting
Sure.
another. We're getting a feedback here.
Someone else is talking.
No, it's actually her voice. So if Matt's online.
Matt, I think we're getting a presentation being played with this slide.
Well, that's what it is. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah, it's got,
It's the PowerPoint presentation over her voice.
so we're hearing her and we're hearing her again, yeah.
So how did you want to handle this? Because I don't want you to have the echo. Is it an echo?
We're hearing your voice giving a presentation.
Okay.
We have the slides here, so you can really shut that off probably. We have everything.
Matt, can we just shut the audio off on that slide presentation?
Yeah, let me get that shut off for you.
Okay, how's that?
No.
Okay,
He's working on it.
okay. Let me know when you're ready.
It's, yeah, I don't know what.
There actually is no audio to the presentation.
Something going on here.
Yeah, there's some other feedback maybe.
Somehow there's a delay then, Matt.
I think it's good now.
Is it good now?
Okay.
Yeah, good, thank you. Okay,
Okay.
go ahead, sorry about that.
Well, let me know if it's still an echo, and then we can try something else. Is this better?
Yeah, we took care of it.
Okay.
Matt found it.
Great. Okay, Matt, we'll just start that presentation again if you don't mind. Matt?
Yep, I'm getting it going. Hold on one
Okay.
second.
All right, there we go. So how's the audio? Are you hearing just one voice?
Yep, good now.
Oh, perfect, perfect. Thank you, Matt. Thank you to everyone who assisted with this. So again, I was talking with Angie Thompson earlier, and the information that I'm sharing with you is information relative to what is going on after the decennial. So as I said previously, the census count ended in October, and those results should be coming out in September of this year. So this information that I'm providing, and I'll try to move through it relatively quickly, is information that is discussing what we are doing presently and what the expectations are. Matt, can I have the next slide, please? So this is a message from our director, Marilyn A. Sanders. She is the director, the regional director for 8 states, which includes Michigan. And basically, she's just giving you a little bit of information on the purpose of the surveys, including the American Community Survey, which is a very significant survey. They're all significant, but the American Community Survey, I'm old enough to remember where the census was a lot longer than 9 or 10 questions. So there was a much longer form, and we did away with that a few decades ago. And in fact, substituted it with something called the American Community Survey, which gives us more in-depth demographic information relative to income, poverty, education, housing, etc. This is a survey that is going on all the time. So as I mentioned to Angie, there may be some confusion from residents who are receiving the American Community Survey, and I'm going to talk about 2 additional surveys because they may think that the census has ended, and so why are they receiving this information? It has to be a scam. They're not interested in providing it. But I'm going to talk a little bit about those surveys and how important it is that they do fill out the information and ensure that that is mailed back. Now, let me just preface this by saying not everyone, unlike the decennial, not everyone will be receiving a survey. It is sent out based on whatever set of variables is decided, and it is not, it's not something that I'm privy to. So not everyone will receive a survey. However, as I mentioned, the American Community Survey is one of those, even during decennial years, that people receive. So if we can go to the next slide, please. Matt? Thank you. Thank you. So we probably already know this, that the data is used to determine congressional representation and the allocation of hundreds of billions of dollars in federal funding, and to provide data that affects a community. So it's critically important, if you are asked or if you are approached or if you receive that information, that again, we do ensure that that goes back to census as instructed. Next slide, please. So I talked a little bit about the confidentiality. The surveys are totally and completely confidential. I'm sure you know this as well. Anyone who is involved in any way with the Census Bureau is sworn for life to protect the information. Of course, violation includes imprisonment and up to $250,000 fine. So even those who handle it, especially those who handle any of the data, including the person who will come to the door to collect the data if we don't receive it back or if the information is incomplete, is sworn to keep the information confidential. Next slide, Matt, please. This is one of the surveys, and it's relatively new. So I mentioned that in addition to the American Community Survey, there are a number of surveys that are going out across the country. And one of them has to do with the recent situation with the COVID-19 and the need for data. So we have launched 2 surveys. One is focused toward households, the other one towards small businesses. And of course, the household one asks information relative to financial resources, any type of disruption in education, capacity for telework, et cetera. And the small business is concerned with the overall expectations for financial recovery. So you could, there could be a number of surveys that are in Gratiot County that will ask information relative to the COVID-19. Again, this is not a document, not a survey that's going to go to every household. Next slide, please. So we conduct more than 130 surveys a year. Most people, I was just talking to someone in my hometown. I'm in Oakland County, and they did not know. They thought, well, okay, once census ended, that's the end of it. But we conduct more than 130 surveys every year. We complete a lot of the surveys that you see for other government agencies. So it could be for Department of Education, could be for Labor, could be for Department of Housing and Urban Development. And of course, the whole purpose is to ensure that we have new data that we can utilize and give to communities, which will help them in their development and in their growth. So I mentioned the American Community Survey. This one talks a little bit about the ACS. Next slide, please. And by the way, if you don't have this slide presentation, I know Ms. Thompson has it. I'm more than happy to provide it to the commissioners. Just let me know at the end of the presentation what your preference is. So I mentioned the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. That is another survey that we are conducting now. So I mentioned three that are three major ones: American Community Survey, American Housing Survey, and the survey, the Pulse Survey, that we are doing relative to the COVID-19. And this, again, is a survey that we are doing for another government agency. The whole purpose is to provide information on housing. This is not a new survey. This is one that we conduct on odd numbered years. But again, if you're not one of the recipients of the survey, you don't know about it. And so you may be surprised when all of a sudden you are one of the recipients. So again, this is conducted every 2 years, odd number years, 2021, 2023, 2025, 2019, etc. And this one started in May and will conclude in September. So there may be some calls if you have residents who received the AHA, the American Housing Survey. There may be calls if we are not receiving the information from a household and we have to go to the household to collect the information. So they will not try and enter the home. They will take the information outside. All of our survey collectors, just as they were during this decennial, has ID. There is certainly, if you have any questions, we can talk about that also in terms of how to identify someone. But they will be concluding this particular survey in September. So again, there may be calls if in fact you have individuals who receive this survey and have not returned it, but are receiving a visit from a census field representative. Next slide, please. I think everyone probably understands the benefits of the survey, but it goes without saying that we have to provide you with the most updated and accurate information on any number of areas: employment, economics, and just the overall characteristics of the area. So without the surveys, we're unable to provide the accurate data that's needed in the development of a community. I mean, you name it, and people utilize the survey. So they're the information that we give as a result of the survey. And by the way, we don't say that this survey came from 123 Main Street. It is in the aggregate. So we would not say specifically that this came from Mr. Smith's home, but rather the aggregate of what is happening in this particular area, in this particular tract of the city or of a particular county. Next slide, please. So you're considered a trusted voice in the community. I had the pleasure of working in Gratiot County when I first started with the new decennial. I also worked the 2010 decennial, but when I came back for 2020, Gratiot County was one of the first counties that I worked with. And I want to thank you personally for all of the attention that you gave and all of the help during the decennial. Unfortunately, I had to move into so many other areas that I couldn't continue with Gratiot County, but I did recognize that your leadership in the county, or those trusted voices, is what kept this moving. And I'm hoping that you have wonderful numbers as a result of all of those who participated, all of those trusted voices that participated in partnership with the census. So again, thank you for all of your help during the decennial and your continued help and support. It shows by having me here this evening. So again, I truly appreciate it. Next slide, please, Matt. Matt, we're becoming old friends. It's very nice to meet you. So thank you for your help on this one. So this is a little bit about a special census. And if local officials believe that there, again, as the last paragraph says, that there has been a significant population change in their community, they can request that the census produce a special census, and that opportunity will happen in 2022. And anyone who has any questions on that, I'm going to give you my number after the slide presentation, and you can certainly contact me, or you can go online and find out more about the special census, but that will resume in 2022. Next slide, please. So we also do more than just surveys. We have had a number of data summits over the past several months. And basically these summits show you how you can utilize the data that Census collects and how that data can help you in whatever area you might be in. We did one recently to help those who are in the communications field and those who are working with the press. We did one with educators. There's a number of different summits that we have. They're free. You're welcome to go on to the Census website. I did provide the information to Ms. Thompson when I sent her the presentation as to the website, so that you can find out when these are taking place and which one you are interested in participating in. Next slide, please. So this is an example. The next one, it looks like, I don't have, let me see if I can see it on my other screen. It doesn't show well for me on this screen, but it looks like July the 20th is the next one. And this one would be for healthcare professionals. So we've had them for those who are interested in ancestry, and you know, for small businesses, we have different data summits. There's a number of them, and again, there's a location on the Census website that you can access, or Ms. Thompson can provide that link for you. Next slide, please. This is becoming a data ambassador. So quite frankly, those who are involved in learning this information on data can certainly share their information with their organization by becoming a data ambassador. So data ambassadors basically are those who can share the benefits of the data with the various organizations that they are affiliated with, and show the benefits of what the data is for. These are examples of some of the data that is available, again, for those who are interested in being a data ambassador for their business or organization. Next slide, please. So statistics in school, I would appreciate if perhaps you can share with me, maybe Ms. Thompson can share with me, or you can send this information to the superintendents in the county. We have just a treasure trove of information that can be accessed and utilized, and especially during times when teachers were not able to meet with their students one-on-one or face-to-face. We have maps and other kinds of data tools and all kinds of resources, videos, and all kinds of information from that's suitable for grades K through 12. So all of this can be downloaded and used for the teaching. It's designed by teachers, and we encourage teachers to participate in designing future SIS programs. They can join our program to maybe give their own input. But if you could share this information on statistics in the school, I would really appreciate it, or I'm more than happy to reach out to whoever you feel may be the most appropriate person or persons in the county. Next slide, please. And this slide just talks a little bit about becoming SIS ambassador. As I said, they can help create the program. So they work one-on-one with Census in helping to create these programs for classrooms so that we remain relevant and up to date in the information that we provide for the communities that we serve across the country. Next slide, please. So I think this may be familiar to maybe a couple of people that have joined this evening. These are a couple of the surveys that we do to promote the boundaries. And we really encourage the governments to review and update their boundaries every year through the Census geographic database to ensure that we have the most up-to-date information. You don't want to wait 9 years down the line when we're about to start another census. So we do encourage the clerks and the municipalities and the counties to please provide this information on a regular basis so that we have updated information on all of the different programs that are associated with boundaries. Next slide, please. So I talked earlier about going out and retrieving the information from households. We want to hire from within communities. Even within the county, we want to hire from within a municipality or a village or a township, whatever the case might be. So this is a flyer. I talked with Angie Thompson and encouraged her to maybe get this information out so that we can have individuals who are from the community actually participate as the field representatives. You certainly want to keep someone who's local in the position of picking up and helping those, picking up the surveys and helping those who need help with the data information. We really want them to be local. So this is a flyer we're hoping that you will utilize, maybe put this on the website, on Facebook, whatever the case might be. And there is, of course, an email address, a telephone number, even has an extension that a person can call if they're interested in participating in this particular position. Next slide. Data dissemination specialists are people that are designed to work directly with the public. So at some point I'm going to go away and maybe come back again in 2030, we'll see. But data dissemination specialists are designed to work on a regular basis with communities. And I'm around for now, so if you have any questions on anything relative to census, I'm more than happy to try and assist you, and also to let you know who the data dissemination, the DDS specialist is in your area. But they are the individuals that will work with you in between the decennials. Next slide, please. And that is a thank you. So the next slide, if you don't mind, Matt, has all of the links that I talked about earlier, links to the surveys, help, alerts, all types of information relative to census. But I thought it was important this evening to communicate with you that we are still conducting surveys, that if in fact any of the communities receive telephone calls saying, hey, there's someone out here representing themselves as a member of the census and they're asking me to complete information, or if they receive the survey and they're prone to throw it away thinking, hey, I've already answered the census, this has to be a scam. I just wanted to let you know what was happening with the census. And of course, I will provide my telephone number if you have any questions. So I think that's it. Are there any questions for me? Thank you very much, Matt. I appreciate your help.
You're welcome.
Commissioners, any questions for me?
One thing that came to mind, you mentioned getting hold of schools. I would contact the RESD, that's Gratiot and Isabella counties. I'm sure Angie
Right.
could get you that information, or you probably have it.
I may have contacted them early during the decennial, maybe in 2018, but it bears contacting them again so that I can share this information on statistics in the schools with them. But I was very concerned that I wanted to get the information out to the commissioners because I didn't want you to be blindsided in the event that you're at the grocery store or you're somewhere and someone's saying, hey, what's going on? And you not know what is happening. So I thank you again for allowing me to come and present this evening.
Any other questions? All righty, thank you very much.
Thank
Have a good
you.
evening.
Thank you, you too.
All right, we're on to item 7, audit firm proposals. Looks like, Chris, you're handling this?
Yes, I am. Good evening, board. First up for me tonight is the second set of bids that Gratiot County sent out. Our 3-year contract with Yo and Yo has expired. We solicited proposals from area audit firms. We received 4 of them. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm sure you have it in front of you, but the 4 audit firms that replied to our RFP was Cambridge, Manor, Raymond, and Yo and Yo. You can see the contract totals for the 3-year term that we requested. And I'm looking for the board to select a firm to sign a new 3-year deal with.
Matt, did you contact any local like CPAs or anything that would be interested in this? I see these firms are from Saginaw, Lansing, and Grand Rapids, and of course, Yo and Yo.
We contacted every audit firm that audits municipalities around us. We also published it on one of our RFP websites. So yes, these are the firms that are around us that provide these types of services.
Chris, in your opinion, is there any other consideration other than cost?
Familiarity helps with an audit firm. I think that's why you see that the firm that is most familiar with us came in with the lowest bid. But at the same time, it's sort of like somebody who reviews your taxes. There's one way to review it. Obviously, if they know who you are, they're going to know your tendencies. But when you submit your taxes to the Fed, someone different reviews it every time. They go through the same steps.
Are you recommending Yo and Yo?
I was not going to make a recommendation. I was going to allow the board to select this information or this contract.
Chris, this is an audit that starts up December 1st or shortly after that?
Yes, it is right around that time. They perform our annual audit for our year ending September 30th.
So is there any time pressing reason that we need to act tonight?
If you would like to push this to the next meeting, I do not see any issue with that.
I don't think we know any more, but the next meeting we know now.
I mean, other than if you have questions,
Well, Yo and Yo is familiar with this, and without Chris saying so, yeah, he'd like to have Yo and Yo again. He's not going to tell us that because it's our choice. But I'll move that we go ahead and accept the Yo and Yo bid for the up and coming. This is the next 3 years.
it is a 3-year contract they bid for, correct?
We have a motion on the floor from Commissioner Bailey. Is there a second?
I'll support.
Second by Commissioner Lemmerman. Any discussion? I do want to mention, it seemed like 3 years went by fast, but I've served on a number of boards and really the auditors are working for the commissioners. And I've always felt that it's best to move them once in a while, and I don't have a problem at all with the lady that handles our stuff, I think does a great job. And I just want to throw that out there, I don't have a problem if we use Yo again, but I think it's something to keep in mind that we do work for the commissioners too. There are real go between us and what's going on with the funds in the county, That's the only thing. But if you want to do those again, it's fine with me. All right, any further discussion? I'd like to request a roll call vote on this.
Commissioner Bailey,
Yes.
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Lumberman,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy.
I'm gonna vote no, though we don't need to go ahead right away. Motion passed. All right, next item. Chris, you're with a budget document, looks like.
Correct. These next two items, the budget transmittal letter and the fiscal year 21-22 goals and objectives. They are the first two items that we are presenting to the board related to the fiscal year 21-22 budget. The budget transmittal letter is the standard resolution you'll see in your packet that we didn't make any changes to from the last year, except for updating it to be for the next fiscal year. There are a few items that are highlighted in it that will still yet need to be filled in before the budget book is put together and brought to you in September. On your screen, you'll see we just have to set the exact date that we're going to be passing the budget. I didn't fill that in yet. The exact amounts of the budget, which obviously are not calculated yet. But I just wanted to get this in front of you early because it's a standard item. And if there are any items that you did not like in it or wanted changed, I wanted to see if you had any input for that.
So this is basically for our information.
Correct. I'm not asking for any action. I'm just getting it in front of you early to see if you had any concerns.
Okay, anybody have any questions on it? All right, and did you have something else here?
Yep, I'd like to share with you quickly the Gratiot County goals and objectives that brainstorming with administration that we put together for our next year. Some of the biggest goals and objectives is, use of the American Rescue Plan funds, clean audit report, continued staff professional development, airport sustainability, sustainability and productive use of landfill property. So I guess what I'd like to do is ask the board your thoughts on goals and objectives for next year based on review of what we've put together.
Chris, is there something in the packet on this? I don't see anything at this point. There's a handout. Oh, okay, this sheet here. I got you. Yep.
Mr. Chair, I would be interested in any discussion that the board might have this evening, but I wonder, now that you've been exposed to this, if this might be something that you would bring back up at the next meeting, Chris, and folks can be jotting some ideas between now and then. Because again, am I right, Chris? You're not asking the board to pass or approve this this evening, but you want to begin the exposure and generate ideas. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You know, and since it was just a handout tonight too, we really haven't had a chance to look it over. Hey, Chris, did you have anything else?
Not at this moment, but I will
Alrighty.
revisit you shortly.
Okay.
So, Angie, if you would just carry that to the next agenda, please.
John's got I think a quote.
John, you have a question?
Yeah, Chris, basically, the materials you just gave us pretty much are copies of what you would have presented last year at this time, other than the use of the American Rescue Plan funds?
The other items were in the previous budget as goals and objectives. That is correct. They've been updated to show progress in what we've made over our current fiscal year. Some of the previous year's goals and objectives were actually rolled up into the use of the American Rescue Plan funds. So you'll see under the what we can expect column, things like health and safety of our employees and residents. That was a goal in our previous or in our current budget, which was kind of rolled into this new issue.
And the budget transmittal letter, that essentially is last year's budget transmittal letter, except for whatever changes were made as far as dates and chairman and things like that.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions? And next on the agenda, looks like we need to set a public hearing for July 20th at 4:30 to consider the approval of 116 to 120 East Superior Street redevelopment. And I'm project brownfield plan, and I believe that would be Alma.
So
I
moved.
believe you need a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Smith, second, support by Commissioner Bailey. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passed. So now we're moving on to elected officials salary recommendation study.
Folks, this is an issue that's been in front of you a number of times. First, the idea of some kind of mechanism that will ensure regular, structured, data-based, to the extent possible, review of the compensation of our elected officials. This is something that we've not had in the past. I discussed that with you at length, and I don't think I need to review it unless you have questions. You folks also approved the system that was suggested, and that is a work group comprised of a variety of individuals in a variety of roles. That includes 2 elected officials, 2 department heads. We ended up with 1 member, 1 union representative, and 1 non-union, non-department head employee. Not very many in that category. This group got together over the course of 2 or 3 or 4 meetings, examined information that Sheila and I provided, examined additional information that they requested and that we provided, and came up with the following recommendations. First of all, let me backtrack a moment and say that this review and these recommendations do not touch on judges. Their salaries are determined in other ways, and nor did it deal with the Board of Commissioners, your positions. The work group made a number of decisions that are brought to you as recommendations. First, they really did not see a need to adhere to the past practice of paying 4 of our elected officials at the same rates. Those are the drain commissioner, the treasurer, the clerk of court, and the register of deeds. They saw the workloads and work complexity as being a little bit different. Not all counties pay these officials at the same rate, so they were certainly not bucking what is a universal practice. And there was a fair amount of comparative data that was gathered. We used comparable counties determined by taxable value, population. Any other factors, Sheila? Mostly that. And then additional comparable information was requested. For example, the drain commissioner. It was very important to Bernie that miles of drains be factored in. There's just got a lot of miles of that here in Gratiot County, and wanted that to be factored in. So the recommendation is provided to you in the memorandum. The recommendation is what it is shaded. It is the last line. Ultimately, and I'm probably jumping around a little bit, and I apologize, but there were a couple of decisions to make beyond should they all be paid at the same rate. One was, did the numbers seem to be so off that the work group would recommend to you that there be an immediate adjustment in compensation for any official, as opposed to having these be effective in the new fiscal year, that is October 1st. And as to all 6 of the elected official positions, they saw no need for an immediate adjustment in any of the positions. Next, there was the how is they going to arrive at a number? Well, you can see, I hope, and I'm referring to the document, I hope you all have it in front of you. It's the 2021 elected official salary work group, then comparable county wages. This document lists the counties that were used as comps, the rate of compensation for each official in each of those counties. And then the work group thought, well, shall we average them? Shall we average them without the high? Shall we average them without the high and low? So we did those calculations. And the work group, in looking at the numbers and considering the methods, are recommending to you that the method of, and the numbers that they are recommending to you are based on an averaging of the numbers in the comparable counties, dropping the high and the low figures. And that way, it avoids any skewing high or low based on just maybe one aberrant county. So the numbers are there. You can see the recommendation using that method for each position. Also, though, for both the sheriff and the prosecutor, and this I think is my final point, that that the sheriff and the prosecutor not be considered for increases even on October 1 of 2021, but be evaluated next year for the next fiscal year. Given that the sheriff did recently get an increase and the prosecutor's current rate of compensation seems to be pretty in line with comparable counties when averaged. So we have Commissioner Smith and Sheriff Morris were a part of that work group. They are there in attendance. I believe the sheriff is still there. As to work group discussions and methods, Sheila and I served as staff, providing the work group what it needed, what it asked for. We can answer process questions for you, but we await and will direct any questions you have. Also, just pointing out that we understand this is a lot of information, fairly complex, and so we did send it out to you, I think about 2 weeks ago, so you'd have an opportunity to give this a good review before the meeting this evening.
Well, I served on this committee and I looked at this as not as positions of people who are in them now. Not as Angie Morris or Mike Morris or anybody like that. I looked at these as a base for the treasurer next year, whoever it may be, and to be in line with other counties in our area. And the clerk and the drain commissioner, register of deeds, these are all elected positions. Sometimes you get good ones, sometimes maybe you get a bad one. But that's what I think the average pay comes to around there. At least we're in line with folks in our communities, our counties, based on population and based on SEV. We looked at not having the sheriff and the prosecutor because we just raised those. We did the prosecutor a year ago or last year, and the sheriff, we went retroactive. And then I foresee this down the road is looking at, I don't know, we would tie it to something, or when we get done with negotiations to say, I can't even remember what the raises were this year, but 1.5 or whatever, then you could look at these positions and say, after we're done with negotiations, everything, say, maybe these folks should get a 1.5% raise and keep them in line every little bit every year. Because it's kind of hit and miss, and you just grab them, you get out of whack. Position gets out of whack. And so I think they're fairly well in line with these people around us, or these counties around us. And I think it was a good way to do this. And we had a lot of input from a lot of folks. I mean, there was some folks on there I didn't know from the courts and stuff like that, that everybody, I don't think anybody sat back and didn't have any input. I don't know if you'd see that, Mike, or not, but Mike would know more than I did. But
I agree.
yeah, and I just think it's a good base starting thing for next year for these positions, our elected officials, whoever they may be next year or a year after, whatever elections are. It keeps us in line with our other communities.
So this is just a 1 year starting October 1st. It's a 1 year proposal because I see some of these counties have stars. And the counties with stars, do they do those annual increases every year?
We're not sure about that. What we can tell you is that there are some counties that do track either what their unions have done, or correct me if I'm wrong about this, or there's simply a standard amount that they consider. But the following the unions is a pretty common practice.
The two, Mecosta County and Newaygo, those do follow with the union.
So whatever the union increase is, that's what they give to the elected officials as well.
Correct.
But this proposal is not doing that. It's just a one-time.
One-shot deal to try to get them in. We're out of whack with everybody, and we're just not in the flow with everybody else.
Okay.
So we're moving our positions into somewhat of a line to be, their base salaries would be somewhat of a line. And then the next year, 22, 23, we would look at whatever the negotiations were and say, okay, no matter where we end up, if it's 1 or 2, we would give that, maybe look at that position. These elected officials at least have that. I think what's happened is it's not been raises along the way a long time, and now you get too far of a spread. So we're going to bite the bullet on the spread. I mean, I think the lowest one here is maybe $3,800 or something for that position. And now you've got everybody kind of in line. And then if you look at it next year and say, okay, we are going to go with the union, whatever it would be, you know, and these can be done after the negotiations are done with the.
Yeah, they can be correct.
Yeah.
And the specific recommendation is the highlighted one that's based on the average without the high and low?
Yes. I think that's some consensus on.
That's correct.
Sam, traditionally, these four have all been the same amount. What's the reasoning for coming up with different amounts on the four of them?
I guess I don't know why the four are the same amount, same question.
Well,
I don't know what that.
always been, you know.
Yeah, maybe it's always been that way. I don't know.
I'm,
Staffing, different responsibilities.
but according to your list here, you have four of them. Macomb County branch, and Gratiot, and I'm trying to think how you say that, McCoska, all have the same amount going across. So look at Macomb County, 62,127. It's the same all the way across.
Branch is not the same.
So a lot of your other counties do leave it the same for all, either three or four. The only one that changes is the one for Drain Commission, and that was branch.
Well, what we did is we took the average for those counties minus, I think Newaygo was the high and Hillsdale was the low, and computed them out and then averaged them out. And that's where the figures come from. It's an average of all the ones that are in the middle.
We have no reason, we don't have any understanding why they keep them all the same. We don't have any understanding why we kept ours the same. You know, we had, ours were always the same.
Well, you have, well,
We had no reasoning.
So like, for instance, Angie has to be here on election nights, prepare ballots, all that kind of stuff. She has a little more doing with that. Terry is here for meetings on treasurer night, finance committee night. Whereas Mary really is not here for many meetings. Bernie is here some, so, you kind of look at that too.
well, they used to be, register of deed used to come in and give a report every month, and all of that was stopped. Then since probably the last 6 years, all of the different departments used to come in and talk to the commissioners, tell us what they were doing, what was.
You see, but I don't look at, Mike just mentioned Angie and Mary and some of the other ones, and Terry. I don't look at them. I look at the clerk.
The position.
I look at that clerk, and I don't know when Angie's up for election, but she may not be the clerk next time, or Terry might not be the treasurer next time. But that seat, I think it's a fair wage compared to all of our people in our communities in the area for that seat, who's ever in that seat.
The information that was weighed didn't tend to be things like who stays late and that kind of thing.
No.
A great emphasis was placed on numbers of records handled and processed. So in that way, you get to the data, you get to something more objective. And I don't know if these other elected officials, go in once or twice a year and talk to their board or not, but that's not the kind of data. First of all, it's not data, but it's also just not the kind of information that was relied on for what I think is a fairly objective set of numbers. Well, as objective as one can, sure.
Right.
I'd like to know how many commissioners here have gone into all the different departments in the last year. You have?
I think I have.
I have.
I do business with a lot of them.
Okay.
I believe I've been introduced to them all.
In my office in the last year.
The what?
I think I've seen all 5 of you in my office in the last year.
I seen a couple of his finest the other morning at 5 o'clock.
You saw what?
A couple of his finest the other morning at 5 o'clock. You having a deer. I smashed him.
I was thinking, wasn't last year the election year for the department heads?
The department heads are not elected.
Elected officials, these 42 elected in the presidential election.
Usually we never gave a raise until the year of the election, which should be 3 more years from now.
But if you do that, Jan.
Yeah, I know.
You're
farther apart.
Yes, your department.
Yeah, I know. I understand that. Yeah, we do need to do it different. The only thing I'm against is I think you should leave them all the same. Maybe the drain is a little different because well, yes and no. In the wintertime, he doesn't do as much as he would in the summertime. And I think like with our clerk, when she does election, we should just pay her more money for that. We don't have elections.
It's a salary position though.
Yeah.
I was trying to think what I'd like to do, and I didn't get a chance to do this, was to find out in the past, what did they do? Because I know like Pauline Merchant used to stay late at night.
See, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. We're not looking at, we're not looking at Angie has to go to Fulton Township and do some work. That's part of that clerk's job, not Angie's job.
Yeah, I think.
That clerk, but that job she got elected to. If I was elected to that position, then I would have to go to Fulton Township and mess with whatever she does up there. I don't know.
Yeah, but
I would have to go do that. And if John or you were elected to that position, you'd have to go do that in our townships. That's just that position. You know, the other thing that we can do is, nobody said we all want to raise. We can just leave them alone. We're the ones that are looking at this saying, we're trying to get our county in place with other counties in the area for elected officials to be paid what seems to be a fair compensation for everybody around in our communities. We're not saying Angie needs more money. We're saying that position probably could use a little bit more money compared to what we have in our communities.
But I do want to mention this. I think Angie has done a wonderful job as being the clerk, but in the past, and Angie, you've even admitted it to me, that the other clerks never did all the work that you've done, which has been great. She's saved the county money. Whatever she does it 120%. And it's not, I'm not saying anything bad about the past clerks. It's just that, you know, they didn't do a lot of the stuff that you did. And I think it's great that you care about your county and that you care about people, that you make sure that they know what they're doing. She even took a day off and trained a bunch of us girls on a Saturday in case we were needed someplace in the county. And I can tell you the past clerks did not do that. But she does do a lot above and beyond, and maybe leave everybody the same except for hers and raise it because of the elections.
Mr. Bunting, how would those differences be factored into database decision making? And I think I just would encourage this board, as our work group was encouraged and then just innately understood, that if you're going to consider what you consider to be extra effort by a particular position, that you be sure to review all of the data for all of the positions. And again, trying to do something for what we would all agree is an outstanding clerk. You are evaluating the person and not the position, which is that I think is pretty uniformly understood that you don't want to be doing that.
Yeah.
I just noticed on satellite, excuse me, I'm sorry, Chair. I just noticed, I was shocked to see that the Drain Commission made less money for satellite than the treasurer clerk and the register of deeds by quite a bit. But if you go down through there, they're all pretty much the same all the way across. But I do feel that we do have a clerk that does above and beyond. And I'm thinking too, when she leaves, if someday she decides that she doesn't want to be the clerk, whoever comes in, she will train them to do all that she has done. And I think throughout, like anything you have, back when Pauline Merchant was on the board, I mean, we didn't have all of the extra things that we do today. I look at the computers have changed, the voting has changed, how you vote. So, I mean, as years go by, there's going to be more and more.
Jan, I think you're missing the point of what the committee did. They were looking at every position throughout the years has been held back. So they want to bring the register of deeds comparable with the register of deeds that are out there that are in like counties.
But that's what I'm saying.
Same with the drain. Our drain commissioner, he does a lot more drains than what's over in Sanilac County. So that's why they're looking at
I do understand that. But if you look at the page that you've given me and you go across I started at the bottom because it's easier for me. I don't have a ruler. And all the way across, the first four are all the same.
That's in Montcalm County.
Yeah.
And we used to be that way.
But
so what was the reasoning that we used to be that way in Gratiot County? Jan, you've been here for 20 years. Why did somebody set that salary at $57,124 for 5 positions?
I think.
Why didn't we set it that way for the prosecutor and the sheriff and everybody? You have that answer?
No, I don't have the answer for that, but it's the same with the commissioners. Some of the commissioners probably do more. I mean, I do a lot.
That was the analogy I was just going to give. So, Jan, you have 2 townships plus the city of St. Louis, right? George, how many townships?
I have 2 cities. I have 2 cities. I have Wheeler, Breckenridge, And
Well, Wheeler is part of Wheeler Township, Breckenridge is part of Wheeler Township. So you have Bethany, Wheeler, and the city of St. Louis, correct?
yeah, but I have,
How many townships do you have?
6.
See, he has three times as many areas as you have, but he makes the same amount of money. So if that's the way you're saying it, I mean, truthfully, George should be paid more than you if you're going by that.
no, no, what I'm saying, but I also do other meetings too that probably George doesn't do.
Right, but
I'm saying it should all be the same. That's why I think if you just keep it the same, and it's all about at the end of the day, what is it, the extra things you are willing to do or want to do?
It's not about that, Jan. It's not about that. It's a position because, you know something? I hate to tell you this, but you probably won't be there another 25 years. Somebody else will be sitting in that seat. And maybe they won't do what you do.
Yeah.
They're still gonna get paid what you got paid, you know? It's about the position. It's about, we have a great clerk, and I don't disagree with anything you say. But you know something? She might get beat next time, whenever her election is or something. Or she may decide not to run and move off to the Bahamas. Whoever sits in that position, you know, she may not be as good as her.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna be able to say, well, let's take a little bit less, because she doesn't do what Angie did. It's got nothing to do with the person. It's got that seat. That's what it's all about.
I would also point out that on the sheet that you're
But I hope you
looking
don't
at,
go behind.
only three of the 6 comp counties have each official making the same. So it's half and half.
I have 4 here, but I mean, I just think that it's, well, I guess I would like to talk to each one of them, each department head. I think the person who's the low totem pole on here is registered of deeds. And I've gone in there and they're always busy, and I've gone in there for information.
If you have questions about what any of the department or any of the elected officials do, they did provide their tasks, and that is in the packet that was provided to you. There's the information that they gave us
I looked at that, but
about the
it's,
positions.
yeah, I look at that, but it's all that little extra. For instance, I know that Angie went out to every one of the townships to show them how to do their voting machines. Not only did she go once, but she went 2 and maybe 3 or 4 times to make sure that everybody knew how to use them. But 20 years ago, we didn't have those machines. We just went in and marked a sheet of paper. And today we have a machine. So things do change. I understand that.
I would simply submit that these things have changed in every other county also, Commissioner Bunting, and that's why, you know, when you're comparing to other counties, you are comparing like factors. I wonder if any of the other commissioners have any questions or concerns, or if we can elaborate for anyone else on the principle that we evaluate the position and not the person, or any other underpinning to this kind of work.
Sam, the proposal, are we looking at average without high and low? Is that the proposal?
Took the highs and the lows out of the ones.
So for instance, the treasurer, you've got at 61.5, clerk at 62.2. That's the right line.
That's the right line, yeah.
Okay, well, I quickly took those numbers and that would end out as an average of the 4 if you paid them the same of $61,989. And it's just my opinion, we should all leave them the same.
Hey, which numbers are you looking at when you just said that?
This line here is what they're
Oh,
proposing.
okay. I couldn't see that because it's too dark in here. I was looking at the numbers up here. It
The
says
only thing I would
average.
say about that is Angie's office has a certain amount of bargaining people. What is your office, TPOAM or GLC? So she has 2 different unions. Some of the other offices, Bernie's office, does you have a union, Bernie?
Yeah. Yes, Sheriff.
So that union may get 3% and her union may only get 2%. So then very soon you got the creep factor coming on again if they don't get that percentage, which then next year it would change.
I think that would be up to the commissioners to take a look at that at the time and say, you know, our average was 1.5 or 1.8.
I thought we were coming back and would, this.
Look at that next time.
Do it again.
Just getting it to just getting to a base with everybody
But
else.
I'm saying if you go to a percentage that the unions make down the line.
Yeah.
When you got 2 different unions in her office, you're gonna have to figure out which one you're gonna go with.
I think we're setting up a better process that this committee could even all that out and just look at a number.
Yeah. I think the real question is here, whether we just leave it alone or or we take the recommendation of the committee.
Well, I'm in favor of increasing the amount.
I am too.
I make a motion that we go with the recommendation from the committee and the average base and average without the high and the low. And I'm looking at the bottom line there of 4388 for the treasurer, 5162 for the clerk, 6,052 for the grain commissioner, and 3,086.60 raised for the register of deeds. I make a motion that we accept that.
Where were you looking at, George? I don't see those numbers.
He was looking at the wage, the raise.
I'm looking at the increase.
I understand your motion, George. We're quoting the increase added to the 57,124.
Right. That's what.
And the other
But
thing is,
established.
That was the recommendation.
the recommendation was to take first in October.
October, yes.
Okay, why did you not leave the registered of deeds the same as the treasurer? It's sort of like.
We've already talked about that.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a seconded by Commissioner Lemmerman. Is there further discussion?
Okay, I do. I need this. You're talking about this line right in here, which I can't.
Average without high and low.
Is this the
That's the
same?
one.
This is the one right here?
Does it say average without high and low on the left?
You can't read it on mine. Average,
This is
okay,
the
right here?
annual salary right here. This is the increase added to the.
To the,
I guess my only comment is it's impossible to make a perfect decision that everyone will be perfectly happy with. But I think we just got to respect the work of the committee and say, this is a good decision and it's a step in the right direction. And let's do it.
And it's not like we said, if you look at people, then all of a sudden, maybe somebody in the committee doesn't like somebody and doesn't like you, and you say, let's take $400,000 away. You know, it's nothing like that. It's about that seat. It's about the position.
the only
It's
thing,
not a matter who's setting it.
the only thing I'm against is the register of deeds. I think that's sad that it's like you don't think very much of the register of deeds department
He's trying to.
to give them such a low amount.
It's $3,500 a year. I mean, it's $3,500 more than they were making
I don't see where
6
you,
weeks ago. Register of deeds, let me look.
I got 3,860.
Okay,
And then.
so it's $3,800 a year.
$4 now an hour more.
But you gave $4,388 to the treasurer. I can see.
It's just the way it works out in our communities.
Call the question.
Okay, is there any further discussion? I would like to request a roll call vote.
Commissioner Bunting,
No,
Commissioner Lumberman,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy.
No. Motion passed. All right.
are we going to start after this next year? Are we going to start giving a increase? Percentage?
Looking after the union negotiation.
Yeah, after. So like my
Committee
contracts are up.
is going to handle it.
They'll look at it or whatever, yeah, however we do, yeah. And they'll bring that back here.
Back here.
Of course, yeah.
Right. All right.
Mike, are you leaving? Oh, okay.
Coming up here.
I had something to ask you.
Okay, we have a request from the sheriff to reclassify a position, it looks like.
Yes, so my two administrative assistants, Jennifer McBride and Robin Friesen. Jennifer's been there 10 years. Robin has been with the sheriff's office 9 years. She spent about 9 years also in the treasurer's office prior to that, Robin did. And I had not realized this until lately, that them having almost 10 years apiece in with the sheriff's office, that they were never given any increases based on years of service. For instance, my police officers, my sheriff's deputies on the road, and my correction staff get a yearly increase plus a percentage that the union agrees upon with the county after year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, and then year 7. So these girls never got this increase. So they were getting only what the union would get. And if the union got zero, they got zero. They did not get any step increases. So what I'm asking is to reclassify this position in alignment with my corrections officer's wage scale. And the reason why we picked the corrections officer wage scale is if either one of these two ladies would leave my office for different employment or retire, I would have to pick probably somebody from in the jail to fill that position. And if you have their wage scale in line with the corrections officer's wage scale, then they don't have to take a pay decrease to become an administrative assistant. They would be on the same pay scale with the corrections officer. So if you got 2 years in, you're making X amount of dollars as a corrections officer. If you got 2 years in as a administrative assistant, you're making the same amount of money. These ladies both have 10 years in and never got a step increase. So what I'm asking is to reclassify their position to a corrections officer's wage scale. And in the process of doing that, they would get a wage increase. I have the money in my budget for this to reclassify them in conjunction with the corrections officer's pay scale. And then when the next contract negotiation comes up, if the corrections officers get 1%, they would also get a 1% raise. And then I can keep them on that. We had conversations with Tracy and Sheila about this. We talked about putting him in GLC, wage scale, TPOAM. I really don't want to have another union that I have to keep track of a wage scale on. So if I put them in with my corrections officers wage scale, then they stay the same. And if I was going to fill one of their positions, it would have to come from within my jailer. I would prefer that. Somebody with some experiences know what's going on as far as lien, audits, year end, month end. These two girls, if I would happen to lose one of them, even though they're cross-trained in a lot of their stuff, there's some stuff that they know on their own. Basically the oil in the motor. If I don't have any oil in that motor, the motor over there, and them girls are probably the most valuable employees I have. I can replace a police officer, train for 4 months, put them out on their own. I can, if I lose a corrections officer, I can hire one, have them trained in 2 months in the jail, they can go out on their own. If I lose one of these girls, it's probably a year or two before I could get somebody trained to the capability of what they know in my office. And that's just the way it is.
You have very good help.
They're invaluable. So what I'm asking is just for permission to reclassify them to the wage scale of the corrections officer and then work with the county on getting them where they need to be on the wage scale.
I had a couple questions. Are your jail people, are they union?
Yeah, they're in the POAM.
Okay, so these ladies are not union, no?
They're not union, but I would follow.
Or they wouldn't be union, but they would just come along with whatever that is.
Correct.
And the second question is, does the years ever stop?
Yes, after 7 years, you are topped out.
So you're gonna just top out.
I'm gonna top them out. But if I hire somebody new off the street, they'd start at base wage, year one for a corrections officer.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions?
I think we have it in the budget. I don't have a problem with that. I make that motion.
Thank you.
Motion by Commissioner Smith. We have a second.
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Bunning. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye? Aye.
I have an effective date.
I will put it effective next pay period, which is 2 weeks from this past Sunday. So 2 weeks from the 4th, which would be what, the 18th? Is that on a Sunday? July 18th, I believe. We have a calendar right here.
Sheila, do you have that effective date?
July 18th is a Sunday.
July 18th.
July 18th.
Yes. Because we're already.
Sheila, July 18th, Sheila.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Next week's your pay week.
This Thursday is actually our pay week, so I just did payroll this morning, but the pay period started on this past Sunday on the 4th of July. Yeah. So we'll go through this pay period and then we'll adjust the next one.
We appreciate that. That's good.
And I didn't ask for anybody opposed. Hearing none, motion passed.
Thank you.
And then, one thing I'd like to mention, it seems like we're getting a lot of these requests for reclassification. At some point, shouldn't we maybe need a study to get some of this stuff straightened out? I understand. Might be something we could look at.
I'd be very happy to solicit proposals for that. That's something I think that you'll want to talk about. Maybe could put that, well, I'm not sure what agenda to put that on, but That would.
Maybe we could
It would be
keep it
very
in mind
expensive.
keep it in mind for a future agenda.
I think that's
That might be
important.
something to look at.
And you're going to get more of these, and partly because the organization has matured, partly because we haven't had an overall classification study, and we've been doing, these things ad hoc. And at a certain point, you do get a little out of balance. But let me say too, that even with a classification study, those things are not static. As positions grow, and not just the people in them, but as the position itself grows and expands, it needs to be reexamined under any circumstances. But yes, I've been an advocate for a full-blown classification study in this county for a couple of years now.
Perhaps should be part of our goals and objectives for 2021, 2022.
If you place it there, you are saying that you want to do it. And I don't know if you've had that discussion.
Oh,
Maybe we could probably put it on, we could discuss it in a meeting first. Without objection, future meeting. All right, next, Chris, I believe you're up on the ARP projects.
Yep. Our first federal report is going to be due here at the end of this month for our ARP expenditures. So there's a couple things that I wanted to discuss with this board. I put together this memo with a little bit of background. We have started having our capital projects discussions internally while we're putting together the schedule to bring to you as a board. And as Tracy mentioned earlier in this meeting, we've been trying to identify those that would qualify for reimbursement for ARP funds. As you know, we received half of the $7.9 million already. Some of these projects have come before the board. Those highlighted in green here have already been approved by the board. The CASA contract for 3 years, the Motorola radios. But there are a few others that we identified when we were putting together a capital improvement plan. One of them in particular I wanted to discuss in detail was the sheriff's salary reimbursement. Law enforcement salaries that are diverted in order to help prevent the spread of COVID, help keep the community safe, respond to COVID-related requests. That is reimbursable by ARP funds. Last year, the sheriff and I sat down and we put together what he felt his employees' time responding to COVID-related activities. For the first 3 months of eligible reimbursement for COVID funds, we estimate 75% of the correctional officers' time and 50% of the road patrol officers' time is reimbursable for COVID expenses. For the last month that we need to submit a reimbursement to the feds, which is June, the sheriff estimates that approximately 50% of the CO's time and 25% of the road patrol officers' time is reimbursable. When I put together all of the salaries and benefits that are eligible, apply the percentages based on the sheriff's expertise, between March and June of 2021, Gratiot County has $646,000 in eligible salary and benefits that can be reimbursed from the $7.9 million in ARP funding. And what I really need from the board tonight is to know, do we want to reimburse the entire amount to the county? Do we want to reimburse a portion of that to the county? Because I will need to prepare this paperwork before we can get a decision at our next meeting. Now, I know we do list several other projects, but none of that money has been spent. I do not need to submit that to the feds. This is The other projects are more of introduction to the board. There is a little bit of verbiage that goes along with each one of those about what those projects are and how they would qualify for the reimbursement. But what I really need from the board tonight is to know how much of this $646,000 I should submit on our first quarterly expenditure report to the feds. I'm going to turn it over to you for discussion, questions, etc.
So Chris, you're saying that we're eligible, you feel, for a reimbursement of $646,717.61.
That is correct. That is what the sheriff and I have determined is eligible, and we can submit for reimbursement.
I would think we'd want to do that.
Well, and Chris, that's paid out of our ARP money, right?
That is correct. That would be from our 7.9 million.
Chris, is that paid back to the county or does that go back in the sheriff's budget?
That would go to the fund that the salaries were paid out of. So if it were paid out of the general fund, that portion would go to the general fund. If it was paid out of the millage, it would go to the millage fund.
Well, I agree with Chuck. I think if you're gonna go get it, you might as well get it all.
Right.
Well,
This time around.
I was just gonna ask.
Because you don't know if they're gonna change their mind 6 months from now.
Now you've told us the upside. What's the downside?
Well, the downside is we would have less projects going forward that we could fund.
Right, but I think sitting as a commissioner, and I see this money in front of me now, and it needs to be spent now, I'd rather spend the money that we have or take money out of the American Recovery Act money and pay ourselves back.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's,
And I think take all you can get.
yeah,
I mean, we can justify that number.
and yeah, sure, it's gonna deplete it, but that's our plan, is to deplete all that.
We do need to spend it or we got to give it back.
That's right.
Well, understand you've got some time to spend it. Also, doing these things one project at a time, you will, and maybe you already have, with this, will have eliminated the idea of doing broadband, for example. Now, I don't want to get too sidetracked on broadband because there may be other funding sources available and so forth. But, there has not really been a discussion among you about kind of overall vision and planning. This is an excellent way to spend these funds and frees up other funds and so forth. But, the implications are for all other projects that might come along down the line. That's the issue.
Yeah, well, I look at it as woulda, shoulda, coulda. This is in front of us right now, so.
Can I say something? Obviously the COVID numbers and what my guys are dealing with on a daily basis now has really dwindled down to not very much. In the last month, it's really tailed off. But, they come out with this again, we may only say, okay, 5%.
Yeah.
What my guys are dealing with.
And we ought to bite at that apple to put it back in that general fund.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if we can get that 5 or 2%, in a month or two down the road, probably do it again. I'm just saying that could happen, but it probably won't, but you got to get it ways.
It's an interesting thing. They've given us the money. They've kind of told us how they want us to spend it. It's kind of our money if we can make it fit into our slots. If we don't, we got to give it back, So I just think if you can put that back into the general fund, that's one of our slots.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, we have the money over here. We're just moving it from over here. They give it us to let us watch it. And we can justify taking it, then we ought to take it.
Down the road, we shouldn't have done that, but you know what? Today I say we should do that. So I look at what's before me today and a decision.
Well, we can always take the money in the future and spend it on something.
Yeah.
Well, let me add the upside here is if we're able to reimburse the general fund for a portion of this, we'll have additional funds in the general fund to do some very significant and important projects, but that would not qualify under, as an ARP project. So that's a significant upside.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that. I like that.
And that's,
funds.
yeah, Chris and I are trying to identify those kinds of things too. So all of the things are connected, really.
Chris, in your opinion, would you recommend doing this way?
Got a spot.
I don't know what the board's plan is for these funds. So I can't answer that. I would,
Board, I got news for you. The board doesn't know what we're gonna do with these.
I'm just thinking we could put some back into our general fund budget or our general fund. Probably it's the thing to do.
I think it's an opportunity for us to get ourselves a little healthy in areas that we're not right now. I say take advantage of it.
So any,
I'll make the motion.
all right, we have a motion by Commissioner Lemmerman to put the entire amount in, correct? We have a second.
I'll
Second
support
by
it.
Commissioner Bailey.
Yep.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passed.
thank you.
So. The sheriff, do you have another thing, or was that just part, yours was part of it? Okay, all right. Then we're on to North Shade Township part of this. Tracy, were you gonna handle this?
Yeah, not really much to say. I don't know why I've suddenly started to stop share there. I got to playing. You folks had asked me to send letters out to the townships asking them for any ideas they might have for collaboration for the funds. And I think I put in your board packet the response from North Shade Township. They mentioned blight, although no particular detail, but they mentioned, I believe it was a ramp.
Handicap ramp.
Hall. First, neither of those projects, I don't see that they qualify for ARP funds. And it's also, I'm not sure that there was a case made for how that would represent collaboration. So I just don't think that these things qualify for ARP. So I don't know if you need to make a vote on this thing just so that there's an outcome, but that's what you're looking at.
I would just receive it into consideration like we do a lot of other things, just.
Yeah.
Just that. We received it.
All right, let's, without objection, let's move on then. Next item up is the COVID safety measures.
Yeah.
Tracy, you're handling this?
Trying again. Do you see something on your screen that's the July 1, 2021 memo?
I haven't got nothing yet.
I think it was a handout.
We're not sharing.
It's not sharing?
Correct. There you go.
Yeah, now it's sharing. Okay.
Okay.
You have this memo in your packet, but the background is this. We've been making the decisions here. Your administrative staff in collaboration with the sheriff have been making the decisions in keeping with guidelines and direction that we've received from the Centers for Disease Control, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and our local health department, which has tended to track MDHHS. But there have been some changes here in our state, and certainly the governor's directive. Governor Whitmer has lifted many or most or all of the restrictions, particularly around masks and so forth. Again, I want to emphasize that the decisions over the past year or so have been, I've been heavily involved. The court administrator has been involved, and the sheriff has been very helpful also. We're just at the point now, I think, where this board should weigh in on what measures you want to see going forward. I'm sure that you are getting some pressure from constituents. And I know that's very difficult for you because I do want, though, to present some of the data to help you to balance data against that pressure you might be getting. Just want bringing the memo up because I want you to see here where we are currently. We continue to require that staff wear masks in all the public areas. So when they're milling around the hallways, they are wearing masks. We just don't know who and who is not vaccinated, and we're not in the business of asking. Members of the public also are required to wear masks while in our buildings. We continue to put the public through the full health screening, and that's the questionnaire and having their temperature taken, what we've been doing for over a year. Members of the staff who are vaccinated are only required to have their temperatures taken upon entry. Again, we don't know who among our staff has and has not been vaccinated, but we've chosen to take them at their word. And we continue to assess what staff are doing in terms of travel to make decisions around quarantine. So that's where things are now. The questions that are involved in this, it's not just masks or not masks, but how do you want the decision making to go? Do you want to allow, after you folks weigh in this evening, would you like us to continue to have the administrators and sheriff take a look at these issues? One, it's my job to do the deep dive into the data. We also have an understanding of things on the ground here, and we can make decisions and shift quickly if we need to. So prior to the next board meeting, or do you want to do it? And what you look at here, not just masks and who must continue to wear them or not, or under what circumstances, but the issues also involve health screenings and quarantines and isolation. Those are the decisions that we've been making over the period of time. So again, I suggest to you that you be able to perhaps share, balance the pressure you might be getting from your constituents against the data. I pulled up what I was able to locate for you today, comparing the state and Gratiot County, both in terms of case counts, deaths, and also vaccine coverage. And the case I've been making is that, for us to proceed with caution is that what has been happening at the state level is based on statewide numbers, particularly as it relates to rates of vaccination. And we're 12 percentage points behind the state. We here in Gratiot County are 12 points behind the state in our rate of vaccination. So, we certainly have every authority, every right to make decisions for the public in this building. I will tell you that whatever this board decides to do, the court can and maybe will make different decisions, because they are now looking at what they will do in the event of jury trials that are about to start. I did have a meeting with Judge Sullivan, Jennifer Wood, I don't recall who else was there recently. Judge Sullivan is certainly hoping that we can track both Clinton and Gratiot counties for how we handle jury trials and jury panels coming into the building. So what say you, board? We can break it down. Go ahead.
My opinion of this, the Michigan Health Department has lifted the restrictions, and the people are showing up here without masks. And I think we should lift the restrictions also. It's going to cost us an awful lot of money in masks to be passing them out. And I think, the last health board meeting, I asked Dr. Morris in Gratiot County for the 65 over vaccination rate, and she says it's well into the 70s, and this is the most important group.
Well, we do have the Delta variant.
She also mentioned that the vaccine is effective against that.
Correct, which takes us back. I'm not arguing with you, Chuck. I just, it then takes us back to the rate of vaccination here in Gratiot County. What you have is a 45.3% vaccination rate. If our senior citizens are vaccinated at a higher rate here, and they are, then that skews the whole number. It means that fewer folks in the younger age ranges are vaccinated. And I think that the concern too for the safety of our staff is we don't know who is and isn't vaccinated. Folks coming into the building without masks, it's fine if they're vaccinated, probably, but we don't know who is and who isn't vaccinated, you know, among that fairly low percentage of folks that are vaccinated.
I would like to say something. I found it very interesting in the last week. I've been all around grocery stores and Myers and all around and the bank. And I thought, well, I'll take and wear my mask just out of respect. Some places want you to wear it till you get in there. So I kind of have it over underneath my chin. But I'm really surprised. You have some people that have it on, some people that don't. I want to be respectful. So I think, well, if they have it on, I'll pull it up. But I was real surprised today when I went into the bank and this lady opened the door for me and she had her mask on. I didn't have mine on. But I think that it's by choice. I think if you're a person who maybe is afraid or have a tendency to have lower immune system, you're a person that's probably going to wear it. Actually, I kind of like wearing it because of the design. And if I have a bad hair day, it looks great on me, have a mask on. And that is the truth. I've told people that if I got a bad hairdo, just stick it over your ears and all you see is your eyes. But I think you have to leave it coming in and out of whether it's the courthouse, the bank, Myers, the grocery stores, no matter where you go. You had my hair done, nobody had their mask on there. And I think that if you are afraid, you're going to wear a mask, you're going to stay away from other people. And people that are very sick are probably going to just stay home and order their stuff in. But I think that everybody is cautious. We're all adults. And I'm very respectful to other people. I think I have, my mask is in here. I put it in here because I was using it for a marker. But I just wear it underneath my chin like this. And then when I need it, I just stick it up or take it back down. And I think pretty much most people are like this too. At the school, all the children had to wear them. And if they went out for recess, they could take them off, went out and played together. The only thing I will say this year at the schools, nobody had the flu and nobody had colds or sore throats. So I think that, and you know, if the governor says you had to wear a mask, everybody had their mask on. Now she's saying you don't have to. For us to say, oh yeah, you still have to. I think that, I think we should try to do what the governor says.
I'd like to make a motion that for the time being, Gratiot County mirrors the Michigan State Health Board recommendations. And we'll just leave it up to personal responsibility for people to protect themselves as they see fit.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Lemmerman and a second by Commissioner Bunting. Why don't we have a roll call vote on this?
Have a discussion.
Oh, discussion, sure.
I think that's a good move. I would just like to have a few restrictions left in place. We paid a lot of money for a camera that takes everybody's temperature. And it's not invasive, not anything else. But if you just take your temperature before you come into the courthouse and you have a temperature, you'll be asked to leave. If you don't, come on in. That's the only thing we can tell is a temperature. And we paid a lot of money for that camera and it takes a second.
So you just walk up to it and they'll say.
Well, yeah, it's on the floor, so that.
The court officers don't, or the officers don't even have documented this.
No, it's already, it's kept on the camera.
I think that's a good idea.
And if we could put on the door, masks are not required if you've been fully vaccinated. Masks are required if you have not, and leave it up to the individual. We're not going to ask the officer to ask those people whether they have had a vaccination or not. That's up to them. But at least we put it on the door and we made a statement.
I think that's a good idea.
All right. So
It's not our system.
yeah, and I think that to me reflects what's going on in our community.
And it's a respectful type,
So if you have not had your vaccination or haven't been fully vaccinated, wear your mask. I can't tell you if you've been vaccinated or not. I don't know.
I gotta tell you, I got so many masks right now. I'd like to Wear them out.
But a lot of places, I mean, I go throughout the community and for the most part, everybody's back to normal. I would call it.
I would say it's over, over 90% are not wearing masks.
So you go anywhere you want to go, but there are people that are wearing their mask, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But, I think we just have back to so far back that we just check the temperatures as they come in, require a mask if you haven't been vaccinated, but we're not going to ask you that. I mean, that's up to the individual. Check themselves on that. And so we're back up.
What about screenings, health screenings?
Pardon?
Need to look at health screenings also. And Commissioner Lemmerman, I haven't looked for this, but I'm not aware that the MDHHS site references health screenings, yay or nay. So I think that would require a separate decision by this board.
Didn't hear anything.
What do you mean by health screening, Tracy?
I'm sorry?
What do you mean by health screening?
There's a questionnaire that folks fill out at the entryway that members of the public fill out. Are you having symptoms?
I don't think you need to do that.
I don't think we need that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what Commissioner Bailey's brought up is a change to your motion. So do you still?
I'll second his change.
So you accept his change
Yeah.
motion and you accept a second that
I'll repeat it.
Angie,
Okay.
you get ready?
Okay, so we have a motion to mirror the Michigan Health Department and leave it to the people's decision on wearing masks. But we amended to add, we post at the door that mask not required if you are vaccinated.
Fully vaccinated.
If you are fully vaccinated, and if you are not, okay, masks not required if you are fully, and if you have not been vaccinated.
And then one other thing you mentioned that you wanted to keep taking the temperature.
Yeah.
And your temperature will be taken at the door.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Got it.
No health appraisal.
No health screening.
No health screening. We're just basically back open with those two restrictions. What's on the door?
Alrighty.
Can I make a comment? So we sent out, we have our first jury trial at the end of July. And we sent out the questionnaire and told them that masks were required because that's what
They are today.
policy was.
Yeah.
So they will be bringing in questionnaires when they come.
Again, please understand that the board, the courts have the authority to do something other than what you are saying. So, but, Judge Sullivan wants to honor it as much as possible. And again, coordinate what Clinton and Gratiot are doing. But so whatever's in the jury summons, whatever she does or wants when they are here, she has authority over that.
And is this effective tomorrow?
Effective.
Is that acceptable, effective?
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning?
Is that, you have a problem with that, Tracy?
Nah, we need a little time to get some signage up. So,
Yeah, but
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, it should work.
Yeah, it'll work.
Yeah, give me a day to get signage up. That's fine.
All right.
I'll
Do I need to second that?
Tell them what's required of them.
I think we've all got it all ironed out.
All right, any further discussion?
I just think people have in their mind how they're gonna handle themselves.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I met with a husband and wife today. He got nothing on. His wife could come in wearing gloves. And a mask and a hood, a shield.
Okay.
That's what I call a personal choice.
Yeah.
I do have a,
It's kind of like them wearing a mask by themselves in a car, so,
Tracy, you got a comment?
we do have a department heads meeting scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. So the plan is, and we scheduled it in accordance with coordinating it with this meeting so that we can get the word out tomorrow at the department heads meeting, what your decisions are. So that will be the beginning of getting the word out.
All right.
Sheriff, I assume that you'll just let your guys know?
Yeah, I'll brief them in the morning.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think we're clear on the motion. All those in favor, aye? Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passed. Very good. Let's see, under unfinished business, Tracy, I believe you have a wind turbine tax litigation update.
Well, not much of one. I'm trying to find this document. I guess I don't have it pulled up. I provided, placed at your seats this evening, my attempt at pulling some of the concepts out of the magistrate's opinion, all 176 or 7 pages of it. So hopefully that's a beginning of seeing what some of those issues are. The appeal has been filed. Once the case is briefed, perhaps there will be a different look at these issues that I can provide to you and will help to clarify. But this really is a wind turbine valuation case. It's not supposed to be a wind turbine table case, but you know, that it does come to that when we're looking at how to value these things and to consider depreciation. So I would invite you to have a look at that summary document. Please call me or email me with your questions, simply because I probably won't know the answer off the top of my head, but I want to get it to you. Yeah, I think Commissioner Murphy, very early on, you had sent me an email with a question, and that was very helpful because I could think about it for a minute. So I'm doing my best to really help you see what the issues are in the litigation and what the tax magistrate said. But you can see I am struggling a little bit with the details, but trying to eke out what I can. Like I say, the appeal's been filed. Please do remember that Gratiot County is not the party to the case. It's Siegel, Bloomfield Townships, but done with the support of the MREC, and our time will come also. So that's simply what I wanted to provide you this evening. No real discussion beyond that.
All righty, thank you. Matt, anyone online that you could see for public comment?
Nope, nobody.
I have one more. All right. I'd like to make a motion to remove Janet Funning, the current finance chair, and replace her with John Limmerman, effective immediately.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I don't think it works that way. You appointed me as the chair of
Right.
finance, and it would be you to take me off and replace me by John.
No, the board voted you on.
No, you didn't. The chair appoints, the chair of the board appoints the finance chair.
I think the board can remove you if they want.
No, they can't.
We might need an opinion on that.
Well, let's get an opinion.
On what, why are you wanting to replace me? By the way, I don't care if I'm chair of the board or not, I'm still going to be doing what I'm doing.
Well, that's fine, but you have not been an effective finance chair.
Well, there's not a
Okay.
whole lot, we don't really have a true finance board meeting to begin with. This is, when you go to I suggest that everybody take a day, and go to another county and do
You
their
said
job.
here a couple of meetings ago that you were the finance chair and you had the authority to do what you wanted to do.
Well, good, and then I will start doing that. I'll start.
No, that's what you said. And you don't.
Well, oh, I know what you're saying now. Okay, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You were telling me that I shouldn't be doing certain things, and I said I can do whatever I wanted. I can do whatever I want to do as a person, as a commissioner on this board. I'm sorry if you don't like it.
Well, you can't. There's certain things you just cannot do without board approval.
No, well, see, I do. I'm going to do it anyway. So get yourself a lawyer.
All right, I didn't hear a second on the motion, but maybe we're asking for a request for an opinion.
Yes.
Sam, did you second the motion? Okay, I think we should get a legal opinion whether we can do it or not.
Let's do it and then get a legal opinion.
Yeah, get a legal opinion.
But let's do it. And then let's get the legal opinion.
Okay.
So you're gonna ask for the go ahead with the motion and then request an opinion whether it's proper or not.
Correct.
George, or
I have to do it before you can say not to do it.
okay, Chuck appointed me as finance chair, and then he said, is there anybody that wants to be the vice chair of finance? And you guys, neither one of you has wanted to, and I said, well, we might as well make John the finance chair then too.
And then we voted on it.
Huh?
And then we voted on it.
But you don't vote on the chair of finance. It's appointed. But anyway, find out. We got lots of time. It's only June or July, I mean. But for some reason, you guys want to control what I do and everything, and I'm telling you, you might as well forget it. I've been on the board long enough to know what I can and cannot do. I don't have to ask for permission to do anything, ever.
That's quite a statement.
Well, I'm just telling you. Why would I have to ask your
What
opinion?
makes you the all authority on it?
Well, no, I'm just telling you, why would I have to ask your permission for anything? I'm not married to you. I'm not your girlfriend. I don't live with you. You don't support me. You don't pay my bills.
But
So why would I ask
you're
you?
on a board of commissioners, you have responsibilities and authority to do
I
certain.
answer to my district, not you. I answer to my district.
No, I'm just saying.
And I can tell you, I'm very heavily supported in my district. So give them a call. Call up, I suggest you call up Kurt or Jeff Holstrander. Give them a call.
I know all those people.
Yep.
I know
do
what the
too.
answer is going to be.
Well, I'm at all their meetings. But anyway, I'm not going to argue with you on it.
Motion on the floor.
So I'm looking at the minutes from the meeting in January. It says that by Commissioner Murphy to nominate Bunting as finance chairperson. The roll call is 3-2. Voted in. Was voted.
Who was it? It was Mr. Murphy that appointed me as finance chair, right?
He made-
Nominated.
Oh, nominating, okay. Well, it doesn't matter to me whether I am or not, because I'm got my own life and I'm telling you, it's not gonna make a difference with me.
That's fine. Are you going to resign or we're going to vote?
You're gonna vote.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there any further discussion? And I would request a roll call vote. And repeat the motion.
To remove Janice Bunting as finance chair and appoint John Lumberman as finance chair.
Okay? Is that right?
Commissioner Lumberman, sorry, you were.
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey,
Yes.
Commissioner Bunting,
No,
Commissioner Murphy.
No. Motion passed. So then, Tracy, we're gonna need a legal opinion on this so that we can do it.
I think it's a vote.
The sheriff just said we voted for it from the minutes from the meeting. He looked it up.
Read the minutes of the meeting.
Yeah, I guess if you don't, here's the deal. We made the motion, we voted, and if you have an objection, then you fight the legal opinion.
Their January 5th meeting.
Not me.
no, it doesn't work like that.
Yes, it does.
Anybody can ask for a legal opinion on this board and get it.
We'll get it.
Okay,
And bill it to the county?
yes.
Oh,
What would be the difference? You guys seem to do it when you want to get a legal opinion.
I've never called a lawyer. We talked to attorneys before, but it's always been a matter of have a conversation.
Well, I got a lot of friends that are attorneys. I'll ask them.
Okay.
So, but anyway, yeah, actually it'll give me more time to do the things I need to do. So, thank you.
Very good.
All righty, Matt, anybody online for public comment?
There's not anybody for public.
Okay, if there is anybody online, if they unmute themselves and then make a public comment. Hearing none, would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.